There may be ghosts around.
So scared.
Did you see that?
Oh my God.
One castle, 7 ghosts. Will we find them?
I saw it.
Hello and welcome to Most Haunted. There are many castles in Scotland that we could have chosen to spend 24 hours in. In the end, there was only one, Culzean Castle in Ayrshire. There are supposed to be 7 ghosts here, each with their own particular reason for lingering within the stone cold walls of Culzean Castle.
Culzean Castle was built in 1777. Although the original building dates back to 1165, it was a stronghold for the Clan Kennedy. Its location was ideal to fend off the invasion by the English, making it a key point of defence for the Scottish clansmen. The underground tunnels were used by smugglers to hide their bounty, and it's said ghostly tunes from a lost, lonely piper can be heard emerging from the depths of the cavernous labyrinth that lay beneath the castle.
So, do ghosts exist? Well, that's what the Most Haunted team want to find out. And we're going to do that by spending 24 hours here. And these are the people that are going to be staying up all night to try and catch any paranormal activity. We've got Carl and Martin and the rest of the crew. Give us a wave. Hello. There they are. We've also enlisted the help of 2 experts who stand on the opposite sides of the paranormal spectrum. Now, Jason, is it true that sometimes the sort of magnetic fields around us that we can't see can actually cause people to feel depressed, fear comes into it? Is that true?
It is. There's been a lot of experiments done on this in America, whereby they have beamed certain frequencies of electromagnetic fields at humans, at brains, and people have sort of explained how they're feeling. And certain frequencies will induce feelings of elation, feelings of sadness, feelings of fear, etc. And one of the theories about ghosts and haunted houses is that the actual electromagnetic field created by the stones, the very structures themselves, affects our brains, and that's perhaps why people experience these odd emotions in places which they put down to ghosts, when in actual fact could be down just to the electromagnetic fields.
What are you going to be doing tonight at Culzean Castle?
Well, one of the main stories here at the Castle Yvette is a story of music being heard, and one of the ghosts is supposed to play bagpipes in the night. So we've got a tape recorder, just a basic audio recorder, which we'll set up and try and catch the ghostly sounds on. We're also going to use the EMF meter as usual, and also temperature cold spots have been noticed here before, so we're going to be using the ray gun as well to sort of locate those. We're also going to do an experiment with flour, and this is whereby we put a very light dusting of flour on top of surfaces, close the room off, go back later, and sometimes you get footprints, handprints, movements in the flour. So if there's no one's been in the room, then we know that there's something unusual, perhaps paranormal.
When we turn the lights off, I imagine, I mean, I know how I feel, the fear factor goes up. Now, is that to do with the atmosphere, or is that purely because, as children or whatever, we've always been sort of, most of us, afraid of the dark?
Well, it's like you say, it goes back to very, very early days when people are scared of being alone in the dark. And the fear really comes from a fear of the unknown, what we don't understand, what we don't know. And when, of course, it's dark, we don't know what's around us. Something could touch you, you can't see it. So it's simply the fact that we don't know what's around us when it's dark, and that sort of induces that sort of fear factor that you're explaining.
I'm quite prepared to accept that there may be ghosts around, but I've never met any here. We've had one little girl, came with her parents, and they were in the Earl's bedroom, and she described to her parents an old gentleman she saw sitting in a chair in the corner. They felt she wasn't telling a story. It sounded very plausible, and she had seen this old man in old-fashioned clothes, she described it, I think, and he had said hello to her in a very friendly way. We've had 1 or 2 other people who've stayed a night, perhaps, in some of the upper rooms, who have said they've seen a lady or a girl, could be a servant girl perhaps. We had one particular Russian oboist in a Canadian quartet. They were from Toronto, but he was from Russia originally. He was quite an artistic type, if you know what I mean. And he was interested in the ghosts of the place. And he came down to breakfast the next morning looking fairly ashen-faced and said he was convinced he'd seen a ghost in the mirror while he was shaving, which could have been a girl. The housekeeper who used to run the hotel, she, on several occasions, said she'd seen and heard things. And I think on one occasion, she was quite sure she'd heard a party going on in the castle, you know, noise of socialising and people having a good time. And she came through and there was nothing. And there was nothing going on in the castle that evening. On one or two other occasions, she reckoned she'd seen this lady in the top of the castle, and she'd maybe seen a gentleman sitting in one of the armchairs in the sitting room up there. The most famous ghost story about here, which may just be a good story, but there must be some basis to it, perhaps, is of the ghostly piper in the caves. And the caves at that stage went right inland under the castle and up to what is now Piper's Bray. And the story was that the laird, because there were all these stories of ghosts and witches in the caves, sent his piper into the caves and told him to pipe his way right through, show everybody there were no ghosts or witches there. And the piper went in underground, piping away, and was never seen again. But on a dark and stormy night, he can still be heard playing away under Piper's Bray, which is the hill about a quarter of a mile in beyond the castle. The story also goes that he plays the night before a Kennedy daughter gets married. There are two Kennedy daughters coming up to marriageable age, so I'm looking forward to then, because I've not yet heard him.
This staircase is a centrepiece for the whole of the castle. Now, it's said that many people have seen two kinds of apparitions here, one of a serving maid and another of a grey swirling mist. There is a theory that suggests that ghosts seem to like to haunt staircases. The reason why? It's because ghosts live in between two worlds and the staircase are in between floors. Well, this is the armoury room, and at one time or another, all the guns and swords were used in battle. Now, there's no supposed hauntings in this particular room, but you never know, something may happen tonight. This is one of the oldest parts of the castle. Now, for over 800 years, the Clan Kennedy lived here. Just imagine how many people must have sat, walked and talked in this very room. This is known as the Earl's bedroom, and it's probably one of the most haunted rooms here in the castle. Many people that stay here have a sense of being watched, and that's not just from the people in the portraits. Also, they hear strange noises, creaking noises, and those noises come from this chair.
The beautiful banqueting hall was a perfect place for dinner. Derek Akora, our spiritualist medium, had arrived, and our team was now complete for a paranormal investigation.
Can people see ghosts in more than one place, or are they usually confined to one room?
Just as in life, if you wanted to choose to go to a place, or many places, you'd go along, you'd exercise your free will. Ghosts do exactly the same. So they don't have to be connected to a particular place that they visit.
That's kind of obviously assuming that there are ghosts, but people do see something, the same thing in different areas.
Yeah, well, if people perceive that they've seen a ghost or a figure in a particular location, for example, if you think of one, Anne Boleyn's ghost is alleged to haunt the Tower of London and Hever Castle in Kent, amongst other places. I think perhaps when people have seen a figure, that they are assuming it is Anne Boleyn or another important historical figure because of their associations with the particular location where they've seen it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is Anne Boleyn. It's just how they're perceiving it.
But do the places tend to be the places that that person would have gone to when they were alive?
Or, well, have some connection with, yeah, either born there, died there, been there
Well,
at
it
some
stands to reason
point.
that they may well have.
Yeah, there's also another theory that ley lines, which